Hello, good morning. Welcome to New Forest Morphs. Welcome to the new 2025 year, Jared. Happy New Year. Hope everyone's had a wonderful Christmas and a wonderful New Year celebration. And Jared and I are so excited because we've had our first ovulation on the end of the year, 31st of December 2024. Why don't we have a quick look at her, Jared? It's Isa. She's over there. A beautiful Enchi desert ghost girl, proven breeder. She was one of the first girls to go last year, Jared, and she has rebuilt nicely. She was always a big girl, wasn't she? She took her time going. We've had her for 4 years, and she gave us a lovely clutch of beautiful double het DG clowns that are carrying lots and lots of codoms. This year, Jared, we put thought to her. We're looking for the triple hets with Enchi, which will be the VPI Exantic, the Desert Ghost and the Pied. That's what we're looking to produce. So hopefully half of them will be Enchis, and that will give us a great building block for that project going forwards. And the nice thing about the Enchi is it gives you a lot of patterns, so you end up with very small whites on the Pied, and that's what we like. We like a full pattern Pied if we can get it, and hopefully she'll give us that. But Jared, you've checked her follicles, because unfortunately, when I came in December, I didn't have my camera with me, but I looked at her and thought, that looks like an ovulation, where you've got that really big swelling, and then you had the tail suck and the ridging, and all her, you can even see now that her scales have pretty much expanded, and you can see she's got ridging on there. So within 2 days, often it can go. So we're past the 2 day period, and therefore I didn't get a picture, but what we thought we'd do is we'd check by doing a ultrasound test. Now, Jared, I've got a video of you ultrasounding her. Why don't we just have a look at that? Have a look at the size of her eggs. I think she's coming in at over 40 mil. And when we saw the size of the eggs, our eyes popped out because they were so big, weren't they? They were off the screen. Let's have a little look and see how that's worked out. I think we did 19 ultrasounds yesterday, Jared. And there's several girls that are looking to build for us. So we're excited about these projects coming forward. A lot of them will be triple het projects, so that'll be a building block going in. But I'm just going to share with you the one video on the ultrasounding of this beautiful girl here. There she is. So let's just get her up and get the sound working. Ovulated on the 31st of December, a year-end present for us. And Jared, you've just taken the follicle size. They've gone really big, hasn't they? So I think that looks to me as though that could be over 40 mil. And I think she has ovulated, so they look pretty substantial. So I think we're going to get some big eggs.
So off the screen,
Off the screen.
Guess 40 mil. 40 mil too.
Excellent. Oh, well done. So she's definitely, I think she has ovulated, Jazz. She had tail suck, and she had some swelling on her body, so that's good news. So we're 2nd of January, and that's excellent news. Yeah, so that was so comforting to see that, wasn't it, Jared? We also decided to check some of the other big girls. I mean, I think it was about 6 weeks ago since we've done the ultrasounding, and we've just let them rest and nest and build, and we've been feeding the big breeder girls weekly rather than every 10 days rather than every 2 weeks. And I think that extra food's helped them stimulate. We've also had some stormy wet weather, which is helping with the locking process. But this is the update on the ultrasound chart, which I can show you, and maybe we'll home in on a few of those, Jared. Are there any other projects in there that excited you yesterday when we did the ultrasound?
Yeah, my girl Shadow was 35 mil.
Okay.
So that's the grey matter project.
That's the grey. Let's have a look at her and see how she's doing. And
she's in a shed at the moment.
She's going into shed, is she? But she is looking quite big. So let's have a wee look at her. And you can see the size of her follicles. She was the first girl last year to go, but she gave us a clutch of slugs, didn't she? I'm hoping this year she's not going to give us slugs. In fact, when we looked at the size of the follicles, they looked like they've gone beyond the size of slugs, which means I think she's past that point. And I think the size of her follicles were 35 millimeters. So I think once they go past about 20 millimeters, they normally will give you something. If you get a girl burning up to 18 millimeters, they can sometimes reabsorb and go back down again. And we had a couple of those on there as well, didn't we, Jared? But I think once they get over that level, there's a good chance they're going to give you something. Now, when we did the video of Shadow, I wonder whether I did that video or I've got a copy.
I took a picture.
think I've got a picture of her eggs. There we go. Have a look at those. Good size, aren't they, Jared?
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. So on the screen, when you see an egg that's got that big, it's not going to be giving you a slug. It's going to be giving you hopefully a fertile egg. I mean, you can still get slugs that size, but they're basically infertile eggs.
Yeah.
But most of the slugs are much smaller than that, so they're normally, you know, around about the 20 mil mark, aren't they?
And she had a few that size as well, so.
Yeah. So we're hopeful that the grey matters will come off. Now with the grey matters, Jared, you've put Ngozi to her, didn't you? And he's the black pastel, champagne, and I believe he's got one other gene in him as well, Jared.
Yeah,
I think it's pinstripe.
Pinstripe, yeah.
So we've got a lot of genes going into that girl, and she's a het pied, but she's also a super cinnamon. So that'll be really interesting. So the other projects that were of interest.
Tess is
this
the
one
next
here.
girl up for a check on her egg size. Jared's going to check the follicle size. And how big are they looking to you, Jared? Massive. And we'll freeze it to the top there, and we'll measure those. But beginning of January, we've got some really big girls that are showing good signs. This is our Batman project. So she's a spot nose het clown. Also carries. Vanilla?
Yes. She's vanilla as well, I think.
Vanilla spot nose.
So we're hoping for these multi-combo Batmans from her this time. So Jazz is going to check the size of those follicles, and we'll see what they come in at. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to not disturb the girls. We're trying to make sure that they're kind of stay in their cooling positions or a nesting position without the least disturbance, but soft, sweet.
34.8 so she'll ovulate soon as well.
34.8, so we'll watch out for her ovulation. Normally about 40. Right, let's have a look at her, Jazz. She's just over there, isn't she? She's nice and chunky. She's been doing a lot of ball wrapping. And you can see the size of her. She's constantly cooling and building. But she's gone from, I think it was 20 millimeters to 35 in 6 weeks, so that's 15 mil growth. And I think the growth, Jared, is very exponential, isn't it? So even though you're seeing some of your girls going from like 10 mil to 15 mil, and it might take them 6 weeks to do that, once they get to 20 mil, the acceleration suddenly steps up, doesn't it? Their feeding instincts go up. And also the other thing that helped us with the ovulation is that we did put Thor to her again, and she didn't want a lock. So she only had one lock, so we're hoping and praying that that one lock's done the business. But also she went off food as well, and that's what happens, is that the girls would go off food, or they want a smaller prey item. But she's so bulky, Jared, she's got enough in the tank to sustain that, hasn't she?
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing about being patient with your breeding pairs, that when you get the girls up to 3 kilograms, they drop down to 2 kilograms, and then within 6 months you can get them back up to 2,500 to 3,000 kilograms. And that's where they're in a really good place to give you eggs on a regular basis. I think the area that's a concern is when you push a young girl too quickly and she's constantly fighting to get back up to size, and that's when you end up with not such a productive clutch of eggs. So we've learned that over the years, haven't we, Jared, to be slow, steady and patient with the build, and it tends to prove to be very, very good. Okay, so what other girls gave us good follicle sizes, Jared, that we can share on here? Is there any other big ones on there you can see?
Binky was 28 and Mango was 27.
So let's have a look at Mango and Binky. Mango is a triple het project, Jared. She's the Crown Pied Ultramel project. That's what we're trying to do, is get some Ultramel Crown Pieds, which will have lesser pastel in them as well, which would be lovely. And she's got really good sized follicles. And the other one, Jared, you mentioned was Binky Gesture, which is one of our exciting projects going forwards. So she had quite large follicles, didn't she? I think she was getting quite big.
Yeah, she's a nice girl.
Double het Ultramel Clown, and we put the Clown het Ultramel Boy to her, and they've locked several times. What size were the follicles on there, Jared?
28.
28, and that's really good, really exciting. And Booby Noodle, who's the sister, is part of the project.
She's 23.
She's 23, so she's building as well, and they've both been eating well and doing well. So hopefully both of them progress. And if they give us, let's say they give us 16 eggs between the two of them, 2 of them could be ultra male clowns, is what we're hoping for, Jared. So let's see how that one pans out, but they're getting to the point now where they're starting to get into serious build. And you'll notice, Jared, we've put out lots of food for today. We're feeding today, and we're going to have probably the whole collection is going to be fed, because we took a little bit of a breather over Christmas. And that's a good thing, Jared. I think let the animals fast for a week or two, because I've noticed that they still poo the second week. So a prey item will sustain them through 2 or 3 weeks comfortably, and it's okay for your animals to fast as long as you haven't got any picky feeders or any problem feeders. I think it's okay for them to fast, because what it does, as soon as we put the prey items out, and we were cleaning today, you got bitten by one of the hatchlings for the first time, didn't you, Jared? It was one of the ultra male.
It was a weird bite though. It didn't strike me. It just opened its mouth and started slithering up my finger.
Yeah, so that's an instinct that it's obviously wanting to eat. And as we were cleaning, we saw quite a few of the animals wanting to come out and eat. So I think this afternoon we're going to be feeding, and that should be a really good session, Jared. And I think the girls need it. This is the key time that the girls need this extra food, because they are building and they need that sustained weight. So that'll be the plan, is to get those girls up to size and sustained. And you mentioned there's some other projects, Jared, that look exciting for us. Let's have a look and see what else is looking like it's developing well. We've got the...
Most of the stuff's gone up a little bit. So for instance, you've got like Koji that was 10, has gone up to 13. You've got Vesta was 8, went up to 17.
Yeah.
You've got some that were 9 and went up to 19.
Yeah.
So there's a few that have gone up.
Okay. And there's a project which is the one that I'm really, my number one project for this season, which is Tattoo, which is the DG pied boy that's keen to get out there and breed. He's obviously keen to feed as well, but he's doing really well locking at the moment. He's locked with these 2 girls, Koji and Maria. Now, this is the strategy of actually having a two female approach double hets. This one is a leopard, Jared. She just pooed out today, and she gave me a really big solid poo and a shed, but she's a very, very lovely example of a leopard double het DG pied, and I'm hoping that she's probably the one that's more likely to go. Now her size follicles have been building. She's been eating really well, but if you look at the follicle size, she's up to 14 mils at the moment. She started off at 7, she's up to 14. We want to get her into the 20s for next month, and hopefully she will continue to build and give us a chance of that clutch. Now Maria, who's her sister, who's not the leopard, but she's actually just a double het. Now you'll see that she hasn't been building quite as big, and her follicle sizes have stayed at 10 mil. Now it doesn't mean to say that she won't go, but if she doesn't go, we stand a better chance with the second backup girl. So I think one of the mistakes we've made in the past is have a 1-to-1 pairing, and I believe a 1-to-2 or 1-to-3 pairing is a lot more sensible approach, because then you stand a chance of hitting your projects. If one girl doesn't go, the other one might, and then the following season Maria might go for us. She still might go this year, Jared, but also we're not wasting our boy on a female that's not building. So the idea is that we monitor, this is what the beautiful thing about the ultrasound is, you monitor the development of the females, the eggs, and then you put the boys to the right females that are more likely to go. Therefore you're not wasting the sperm in the top end boys that you've got. So those 2 projects for me are super exciting, as well as the Ultramale Clown. The triple hets, we're looking forward to getting those off the ground as well. And we've got the grey matter. Let's see if there's any other projects that we're excited for 2025. You mentioned there's a couple of other bigger ones, Jared, that are getting up to 17, 19 mil. Which ones were they?
That's Ember.
Ember?
Yep, Ember is 17 mil.
Okay.
You've got Caramax gone up to 19.
So let's get those 2 out and have a little look and see how they're doing. So Ember is over here. Now I didn't actually update her millimeters, Jared. Let's get a pen on that. So what we do is, besides having a chart with all this information on, we should also record. So it was on the 2nd, so the 2nd of January 25, and she had what size? 18 millimeters. So she's gone up by 50%, and she's had 1 lock with Hiroshio, who's a pastel DG het pied boy. Now this girl in here, she is a one of our babies from 4 years ago. It's taken her a while to get up to size. So she's 4 years of age, and she's a good size now. Let's have a little look at her and see how she's doing, Jared. You can see she wants to feed. But look at the bulky size of her, Jared. You can see that she is building nicely. She is a fire Enchi Het DG girl that we produced 4 years ago, and she is locking and building, and therefore by putting a visual DG to her, half of them will be DGs. Hopefully we'll get a pastel fire Enchi DG that will be het for pied, and that's going to be part of a future project feeding into the DG pied project, Jared. So you've got like 3 or 4 codoms going into that project. So we're also thinking about building blocks to add to what we want to do. So the idea here is that the more we can build, the better opportunity we'll have to move on these projects. So you've got to think about what codoms are going in the future, not just producing the double visuals. And I think that's what Jared and I have learned, is to keep supporting projects building on the side. Right, Jared, there was one other you mentioned, that's Karamak. Let's have a look and see how she's doing. She just wants to eat at the moment. So she's showing follicle size of 20 mil. So hopefully she'll go. She's a beautiful example of an ultra male. And she has given us a clutch last year, Jared. It wasn't as good a clutch as I was hoping. I think we got 3 or 4 babies out of her, and we got 2 or 3 slugs, but hopefully this year she's got enough in the tank to give us a nice full clutch. But she's got 20mm follicles. We'll keep building her. The ultramales hold their colour well. She's 4 or 5 years of age, Jared. She's one of our first ever babies we produced 5 years ago, and she's on her 2nd clutch now. So this is the lovely thing about getting established in the industry, is that as your girls get established every year, if they are willing to go and you look after them and give them good husbandry, there's a very good chance that you could end up with some really lovely babies going forwards. So what do we put to her, Jared? I think we put the shall we have a look and see?
Bingo.
Was it bingo? So we're trying to produce
Triple hets.
triple hets, and bingo's a leopard, banana
leopard.
clown pied.
Clown pied, yeah.
So we want the ultra male clown pied going into there, but this is where we're going to get in the extra 2 codoms. Because if you notice, we are trying to build the ultra male clown pied project with Mango. We're using Colt. If you have a look at Colt, he's going to be a very good breeder for us. He might also be carrying Norway, and when that test comes out, we'll get him shed tested. And you can see that we're trying to produce the incomplete dominance in this project to go to the visuals that we're producing in the other projects, and that's the name of the game.
And in the other project, you're going to have pastel and you're going to have lesser as well. So then you get banana, pastel, lesser and leopard all into the same project.
Into the same projects, and that will all be going into a triple het project. So therefore you're offering not just the triple hets or the triple visuals, you want all those codoms going in to build for the future. Obviously the overall plan is that all these projects will feed into each other eventually, because there's so many common denominators: clown pied, ultra male, DG, hypo. We've also got that big hypo girl here, Money Penny. Let's have a look at her. How is she coming in, Jack?
She's 15 mil.
15 mil. She's big and bulky. She always goes a bit later in the season, but that's good progress at the end of December, beginning of January. And again, she's poised to be fed. So you can see the health of these animals are that when they're healthy, they smell a rat in the room, they're going to be in that poised position. So it doesn't take them very long to get hungry. And you can see we want the 10-day of fasting, Jared, has stimulated them to want to feed even more aggressively. So I think it's sometimes good to vary your feeding and let them actually have a resting period, because I think it's healthy for the animal. It allows their metabolism to come down, not metabolism, but the stress levels come down, and it allows them to their metabolism to work better in the future, because also breeding puts them under stress. So if you can take out one of the stress factors and give them a resting period, same with the boys, we always rest our boys for about 4 or 5 months before we breed, and that helps them support them and sustain them through the period. The danger is to overwork your animals, overstress them, and then they go off food or they don't want to lock, and that's the frustration. So patience is really the name of the game, and timing is everything, and playing with the seasons and with what's going on out in the weather. At the moment we've got a tremendously cold spell, and coming into the facility, Jared, our temperatures have been holding well. They're currently running at 75 ambient, but everything is enjoying that small drop in temperature because the girls want to build, and therefore a lot of them on the cool end, as you'll notice, other than those that are nesting up, of course. Okay, so talking of shed testing, Jared, we've had some good news from Europe. We've got a couple of shed tests that are in the process of being carried out. And those projects are for the Ultramel Pied project. We've got a couple of girls that we're not sure are carrying the Ultramel, and we've had them for a couple of years now. We're starting to breed with one of them, and I think the 2 girls that we're going to shed test, Jared, there's one down there that's going
Kelly.
into shed. So what are the 2 girls?
It's Kelly and Mel, and they're both pied. Possible het for Ultramel.
Yeah. Now we have actually got because we were waiting such a long time for the shed to come back, we went ahead and bred on in the hope that we would actually prove out to be het Ultramel. She's going into shed, and that's the one down there, which is, I think, Kelly, and she's building up good size. What size follicles was Kelly? And we've got her on the chart.
Yeah, she was 12 mil.
She's 12 mil, so she's slowly building, and that's already good to see. And we put the Ultramel Pied boy to her colt, so there's a good chance that if she is carrying that pied, that Ultramel, that half the clutch will be visual Ultramel pied. And her sister, who's not quite big enough, is Mel. Have a quick look at her, Jared. Feeling, Jared, that that one might be the Ultramel, and I don't think Kelly's the Ultramel.
Hopefully you're wrong.
The nice thing is that the guy that's doing it for us is Jürgen at Herper Pro Herper, and he does really good value sheds. Now, obviously you've got to wait a long time for them because they're going to Europe, but I think the reality is if you're patient and you want to get your shed costs down, and this guy has got a wider variety of shed tests that he can do. Pro Herber and Jürgen is very, very good. So he's quoted as €40 per shed, which is €80, which worked out today. We paid, was it £69?
Yeah.
So for £69, you're getting 2 sheds, which I think represents good value. And I think that eventually, Jared, a lot of the prices of the shed testing will come down as the tests become easier to carry out and more accessible. I think the prices will come down or make it affordable to kind of test skills that may be worth £300 or £400, but you're willing to pay €40 for. But if the price gets too high, then people are going to think twice about doing shed tests, because what value will it add to the animal other than your breeding decisions, which is obviously important. But I think to invest in your shed test, you want to have an animal that is going to be potentially worth £300 or £400 minimum, I think, unless you've got a particular project, you've got a passion and you want to know before you breed. So thanks to Jürgen, we'll give you those results when they come through. And I suppose at the end of 2024, Jared, we never did give our best of 24 in our videos last year. So why don't we have a quick look at our 24 hatchlings and see how they're doing. If you were to arrive at your favourite animal from last year, Jared, which one would it be? You choose your favourite animal from last year.
Good question.
I mean, if I show you my favourite...
I've got a handful of ones that I like.
Okay, you go first and I'll choose one. We'll do one each.
So, I like this boy here, Achilles.
Let's bring him out, shall we?
He's a pastel pied double het lavender clown.
Let's bring him to the table and show him off. I think a lot of people do like to have the top 5 snakes of 2024, and maybe we can do that for you to finish the video. Now you can see he's getting some nice spots as well. See the spots? But look how bright he is. Now he's carrying 2 double hets as well, isn't he? Clown,
clown
and lavender. Now look what clown and lavender are doing to the brightness. Is he a pastel as well?
He's pastel, yeah.
So the pastel is going to brighten him up, but pastel can fade, but he's not fading at all. He's getting brighter, isn't he?
Yeah.
And that's the influence of the clown and the pied. So I think, Jared, I'd agree with you that this boy has got to be one of our favourite snakes of 2024, but not only because of its beauty and its look, but it's the power. Is it a boy or a girl?
Boy. And we've got lots of triple het girls to put him to, so.
Yeah. And also we can put him to some of our mature double visuals as well. So I think it won't be long. Next year he could be breeding, Jared. And he's building nicely. He must be about 400 grams now.
Yeah.
And what size food is he taking right now?
On 40 gram Maltese.
40 gram Maltese. And I'm sure he'll eat really well today.
Yeah.
So, and I think when they get to that size, you start getting them 40 gram Maltese. It won't take them long to get up to size, Jared. And that's the key, is you slowly build them, but when they get up to a certain size, you give them a decent prey item. So my favourite one is this one here for last year. It's quite a rare animal because not many people have actually got these in their collections. Justin Kabelka is the only person I saw selling one of these last year, because either people are holding on to them or they're not breeding them. But this is going to be, for me, my favourite snake of 2024, and he is a stunning lavender albino, blackhead, and also he's het for pied. And we produced 3 of these, and this is the one that's doing the best at the moment. Now this one here is a female, so that's lovely. We also have a male and we have another female.
It's perfect ratio.
That are building nicely, so we've got a 2.1. Now I know that some people wanted to buy them from us this year, but sometimes
you 1.2 actually.
Sorry?
So 1.2.
1.2, 1 boy and 2 girls.
Yeah.
Now what we're hoping for this year, and we are repeating the same breeding again. We've got a beautiful lavender blackhead boy who we put to a double dream school girl called Peach. She's building again, and we haven't checked her follicles, but she went late last year, so we're just giving them a chance to lot, but also we're going to be checking her next month to see how big her follicles are. And she'll probably give us a late clutch, but she looks really strong and really healthy. And if we do hit more of these, now that was off 4 eggs that we got there, Jared. Now imagine if she gives us 8 good eggs and we get another 4 blackhead lavenders, het pieds, then we'll start to make these available to our friends, and we will obviously sell them into our friendship base. So we'll keep you posted with that one. So that's number 2 for me. What would be number 3 for you, Jared? Or number 2 for you?
I like maybe this one, which is the spot nose clown.
Okay.
She's got a sister that's got even more genes in her, but looks wise I like this one.
Yeah, me too. These are the 2 girls. Now the spot nose clowns I think are a beautiful animal, but they are carrying potentially vanilla, pastel and lesser. This one particularly.
And this one is the same. Possible leopard. Well, no, it's not leopard.
They're both girls. That one looks like she's going into shed actually. She's not as bright as she normally is. This one's very bright.
I like their head patterns and their waviness.
Yeah.
I think they're both very nice girls.
They are. And I think we're looking forward to breeding them when they get up to size, Jared. So I think those 2, I can understand why they're your favourites.
Yeah, they're definitely up there.
Yeah. I'm going to pull out one which has got good genetic power, which I like the look of. It's this one here. Which one was it? It was the...
Who are you looking for?
I think it was on the... Oh yeah, it was the Ultramar Het Pied Swish.
Yeah, I like her.
No, I think this girl here, because of her patterns and potential of being moray, could prove to be the most expensive baby that we've produced ever, if she does carry the moray, of course, but we'll wait and see when the test comes out. I think there is something going on in there, Jared, besides Ultramel and Het Pied. But this girl is feeding well, isn't she, Jared? Building well. She can smell the food. And look at those patterns on her, isn't she lovely? So I'd say that she's got to be in the top 10 of our hatchlings as well. Okay, your choice, Jared.
I think next I'd go for the one that reminds me of an anaconda.
Okay.
It's a super enchy leopard, het clown, het DG, possible het cryptic.
Okay.
I think it looks wicked. So the spots and the head stamp. It's also got like a green tint to it, which is why I think it looks like an anaconda.
It's good size as well, isn't it? It's feeding well.
Really well.
About 400 grams. So
Yeah.
is it a boy or girl?
It's a girl, yeah.
Yeah, we got lucky with the sex. We did really well this year on the projects we were super excited about. We've got a lot of females.
Yeah.
Hence, that's why we haven't sold a lot of them as well. But we also got a lot of males that are ultramale that we are in the process of selling. If anyone's interested in ultramale males, or ultramale Mojave ultramales.
Yeah.
And they're doing well. In fact, I've bought a couple of them down the bottom here because this is the pastel pied heteroxanthic, which I think I've moved up these 2. This is a male and female. Now
The male, you left one in here.
oh yeah, he's not quite big enough to move up yet. But what we've done is we've moved up some of our hatchlings to the subadult
Maybe
racks.
20 seconds. 10 seconds.
Okay.
Quick look.
There we go. Well, thank you everyone for watching. Have a lovely 2025 and see you next year. Bye for now.